Hello everyone and welcome to another Starcraft 2 replay. This one's going to be part of my tutorial-ish series. And this is going to be for TvT, my Mass Raven, Mass Planetary build. Which works best versus Bio, so that's what I'm going to be talking about. And Bio is the standard metagame now. And by Bio, I mean anything that involves Bio upgrades, whether it be like Marine Tank, Marine Marauder Tank, just Marine Marauder, just not mech or not is what I'm talking about. This would actually work out well versus Sky Terran too, in case someone's doing that, but that's very uncommon. But this is mainly against not mech. At the end of the video, I'll talk a little bit about what you need to do if you do spot, like how to spot mech, and then what to do if you see it. But it kind of puts you in a rough spot because I was losing quite a bit of TvTs back when mech was standard. So, I guess we'll open with the build order. This is TvT on Neoplanet S. That is my opponent's solo. This is me, Ketroc. So building the depot. Next SCV is one you want to be your scout. I think I double up on a patch first, then I send a scout, but more or less the same timing. And then barracks. You want to create the wall off here. And as soon as you can afford it, you want to move this SCV up here just to create a little bit of a depot. Like now. I think I forgot to do it this game, but yeah. You build a depot there, just put a couple hit points on it, and then finish the barracks, finish that depot. Now that creates an early wall off, so if he does SCV scout, he won't get any information. He won't know if you're double gassing behind it or whatever. Same time, your SCV scout, looks like he accidentally was on A move, so he ended up chasing his SCV scout, which is not good. Command, most important thing is to find out the gas. You can put a lot of harass on the worker that's building his barracks as well, and then get out. And he'll later want to come back to detect. So if you spot gas, which I think is mostly standard, depot barracks gas, or even sometimes depot gas barracks, which is an indicator of probably fast banshees or something, or lots of reapers. So if you spot gas, you want to go gasless fast expand. If you don't spot gas, you actually want to go gasless double expand. So either way, you're taking your third base first. So if he's fast expanding, you're double expanding. Kind of like a Zerg does, I guess. Hide this SCV somewhere, maybe away from typical proxy areas that you might check. Notice how he scooped behind his base there, looking for the SCV. And now around the time that the Reapers would be approaching your base is the time you want to send this SCV in and look for his expo. But no sign of it. So as for build order at home, it's going to be supply depot, barracks, supply depot, command center. The same SCV can build all those structures. Then after that, you want to go double gas and engineering bay. From there, I think I've deviated recently. What I'm getting here is high sec auto tracking. It really helps your turret ring prevent drops, but I'm not so, now that Hellbats are nerfed, I'm not so worried about drops anymore. So it's probably best to delay this high sec auto tracking. Get your factory first, then your PF, then high sec auto tracking. Because the sooner you get the PF on low ground, the sooner you establish control here to throw up missile turrets, and you need the missile turrets here, otherwise banshees can become an issue. But this is okay too. High sec auto tracking first, it helps the turrets some. I also don't do a really tight turret ring anymore, because I'm mostly just for using it for banshees. Drops are pretty rare. And if they do come, at least it's not going to be like, the unnerfed Hellions. Attacking straight to starports, you want to get a bunker behind your front wall. And then PF here and complete the turret ring. So I need a turret there as well. There we go. All the time keeping an eye on the X-axis. But as soon as you see a command center here, you want to build your own command center at home. You want to take your third before he takes his. When your starport's done, when you build your starport, you want to build this bunker, this depot at the same time. Otherwise, you get supply capped like I did here. But Yeah, Corvid Reactor and a Banshee is what you want. So my Banshee's kind of late. And then you build your first Raven afterwards, and then that Raven, since it's the second unit out, the Corvid Reactor will be done in time to apply to it. So it looks like we're facing a little push here with SCVs involved too. So maybe he's going to be setting up turrets and bunkers. Yeah, there's a bunker. A little too close. So normally I suggest using this Banshee to attack him, like attack his main, because there's not much you can do here, right? Except just force you to heal. So this Banshee can probably actually get a lot more damage done if it's more of a surprise and just arrives here. Often when opponents push too, they don't have much in the way of anti-air at home. I decided to use it defensively. I'm not sure if that's the right choice or not. Maybe it's because I saw him picking away at this wall off, and this is a little bit more vulnerable if he finds a way up onto my high ground. Also, just starting my first Raven. Haven't started my second. You can't do much until you have 2 Ravens on the field. So I guess I poke away here a little bit. So staying out of bunker range, and we're going to try to get that tank down. Yeah, so we get 1 tank down. That's not bad. And we're going to go up to 3 starport Raven and build tons and tons of command centers. And that's basically the build from this point forward. Bench's heals, I'm going to send it off to counterattack now. See if I can force some turrets at home. Looks like he already has a couple, but I can maybe be able to force more, maybe kill off these production guys. And just waiting on the Ravens. This little nook here is kind of interesting. It's in case he lands in this zone. You kind of force him into the bunker. Once you get 2 Banshees, you can start sniping siege tanks. 2 Seeker missiles will kill. Why did I say Banshees? Once you have 2 Ravens, you can start killing siege tanks. 2 Seeker missiles kills 1 siege tank, or if there's 2 siege tanks right against each other, 3 Seeker missiles will kill that. As long as you put 2 shots on one and 1 on the other. And my Banshee actually got 19 kills because I just held position right here outside of the range of these missile turrets. Just trying to clear his high ground vision here. This typically is not something I want to do, but I just kind of noticed that my high ground can shoot this stuff and he doesn't have high ground vision. And continue to build from 3 starports only, and continuing to throw down lots of command centers. 2 building, 1 already built. And I should probably be building a lot more because I got about 2,000 bucks in the bank. The other thing you start doing is with your 1 factory and your 1 barracks, you can just create Marines and Hellions and create little hit squads because you will have lots of minerals to spend. Don't think he knows about this base yet. I think my Banshee finally died. Yeah, so finding out about it now. Couple Seekers. He does a good job of pulling back the Marines at targets so nothing goes off. He does get picked off by the PF. Sensor towers are really important. Maybe I should build one right here too. Because you need to know where his bio is, because you need to be able to be there and ready with your Ravens. Double PFing all my bases, even my front, even my natural. Double PF here. Sending more command centers out, building more command centers, 3 or more on the way. Especially if you're facing Marauder. Marine Marauder can take down PFs really quickly, even with structure armor. And when you're against bio, you always want to get structure armor. So you can see actually I've completed structure armor here. So you want your Ravens in position to like cast some Seekers and to throw down a couple of PDDs to negate the Marauder damage for a little while, to buy the time for the Seekers to hit. And I think that Banshee more or less made this game a little bit too one-sided. I think he got like 20 kills or something ridiculous, so... You know, obviously since I'm only spending money on Ravens, I have so much money to mass expand with. So I'd typically be getting a lot more bases than my opponent, but this game I think it's even more so. I think he's just taking his 3rd, which is going to be under a lot of fire actually. Throwing out auto turrets in front of bio always works poorly, but if you get like 15 set up in a concave before the bio even arrives, Even Stim Bio doesn't do very well. I think he's also lacking. Well, he's 1-1, which is kind of lacking in upgrades for the 20-minute point in the game. But yeah, he's just cleaning up his third. Meanwhile, I have my fourth up, and my fifth up, and my sixth. So this game's more or less done. Forward sensor tower here. Got a lot of vision going on now. I kind of like to PF along this whole stretch, you know, you could kind of another one here and then maybe another one here. Gives you a lot of defense at the gold bases, which are nice. I mean, obviously I don't really need the gold, but preventing him from getting the gold is important. I think, yeah, I caught him in a scan, so I saw his armor going this way, so I left some SCVs here, just on auto repair, while I come counterattack at the opposite side. And yeah, it looks like he killed nothing there, and this third is dead, so that puts him back to, well, I guess he has a fourth base now, but yeah, you can see this game's more or less over. Maybe an atypical example, because a lot of this is built off that Banshee attack, but you can see how the defense works. The PFs defend everything except for siege tanks, and the siege tanks are dealt with Seeker Missile. So let us load up another replay. We can go over the build order once again, possibly a different scenario. How about this game? Bubble Merlin. Not enough magic attacks. Oh shoot. My mic might have been sparking that whole time. Well, if it was, I just fixed the problem. The way my mic hangs, the volume control kind of bangs against my chair if I don't hang in a different way. And then when it bangs against my chair, it makes a little popping or static noise. I can't remember what it does, but it gets annoying. So again, is this me here? Yeah, Ketroc. Okay, so Depot with your 10th SCV, 11th SCV is going to be your scout, and then barracks. As soon as you can afford it, you want to finish your wall off. Let's see if I do it here. No, I might have forgotten to do it. Oh well, there we go. Okay. You come in here and scout. Sometimes you can kill that SCV both in the barracks, especially if you queue up shift command an attack move on it. It keeps your SCV kind of stuck to them. But if nothing else, I did see the refinery. I could have stuck around to see the add-on. I didn't though. But that's okay. I run away, I hide it somewhere, and we'll come back later to check the expo. You're usually safe against Reapers for your first 2 Marines, but then once you have 2 Marines out, you gotta go hiding on the high ground again. It's kind of looking for a trap. Keep 1 Marine over here, then if his SCV runs in, you know, this way, I can flank him with that Marine, while the second Marine will come kill him. Build order once again, so depot, barracks, depot, command center. You can do that all with the same STV, and obviously get an orbital as soon as you can. As soon as you throw down your command center, if you took gas, you're going double gas yourself. If he did not go gas, if he's going gasless fast expand, you actually want to build a second command center after this command center. And you can probably build it like right in place at your third, because no one scouts the third early in the game. But he took gas, so we're not doing that. Nice little wall off here, so if he jumps up with Reapers here, he actually has to run around this way. He's not very good with his Reapers. He actually shows them to me right there, so I can pull these Marines over, and then he runs to my little nook, and I got 4 Marines on him. And because I can't micro at all, he actually almost escapes. Luckily, my newest Marine pops out and saves me from looking stupid. Again, for gas, you can skip the high-sec auto tracking for a while if you want to. I think it's better to do that. So I'd suggest spending your gas on factory first, then PF here, then high-sec. But you still want to get that early engineering bay because you want the turret ring. And obviously if you skip high-sec, you get the PF here sooner, and the sooner you can establish control of this low ground, the sooner you can get these turrets up. You can see if you had a few Reapers here, say those 2 Reapers didn't die, it would be hard for me to get these missile turrets up before I had the PF. Which means I may not get the missile turrets up in time for Banshees. So I forgot to scout him. When you feel the Reapers are going to attack you, that's the time you should send this SCV in. So I'm sending him kind of late, and I'm going to assume he expanded just by what I saw there. So that'll make me queue me up to immediately expo myself, but he's actually already on 4 orbitals. So the whole take my third base before my opponent every time with this build just got thrown way out of whack. Really greedy build. I feel like that would die to a lot of things. But he's going to be able to afford a lot of bio with 4 mules at a time. Anyways, back at home, as soon as the factory's done, the starport. You want to double gas the space pretty early too, as soon as you can afford. Bunker on the high ground here. I like to keep the rest of my Marines patrolling the typical drop zone until there's a push on my main, then I'll throw them into this bunker. Keep one in the bunker though, just to make it look full if he scans and whatnot. So taking my third, but not as early as I thought. He already has third, and he still has that other orbital here. Comes across and might have been able to win the game right here if we were smarter. Used him twice already. But if he killed my SCVs first, then my SCVs would be all dead and they wouldn't be able to repair the PF like they are right now. And then, yeah, to get 3 starports, start pumping Ravens, then you're going to have lots of money for tons and tons of command centers. Double PF the front, especially on these maps where the PF is so far away from the ramp. It makes this ramp super vulnerable. Sensor tower is important. You can see the sensor tower allow me to see if he's going to charge my ramp or if he's going to hit this base. Took out my forward missile turret, which actually kind of hurt. Plus, I think I remember this game now. I had some bad luck. Every time I darted forward with my Ravens, he just happened to dart forward with his Vikings each time. Like, he doesn't have vision of my Ravens, yet whenever he darts forward with his Ravens, or whenever he darts forward with his Vikings, like right here, I just happen to be darting forward myself. So I lost a Raven right there. Still haven't killed a siege tank yet. Yeah, I gained some backup missile turrets. The more forward my turrets are, the more protection I have from these Vikings. There, finally lost another Raven, but I got those siege tanks down. Trying to sneak an expansion here. So losing command centers isn't that important because you can afford so many of them that it doesn't really matter. However, so you can see the way this works. The PFs keep the Marines back, the missile turrets keep the Vikings back, and the seeker missiles take out the siege tanks. I did spot this base though, and I haven't even started turning them into PFs yet. Now I have, but that's not going to work. So again, like I said, losing command centers is not a big deal, but not establishing more bases is a big deal. So if I lose 10 command centers but establish 3 more bases, I'm okay with that. If I lose 5 command centers, establish no bases, that's bad for me. Here comes a big bum rush. Looked like I kind of cast the Seekers all over the place, and then I merged it to repair, and then lost control of my Ravens. I lost almost all my Ravens. Down to 3, or down to 4, but 3 more just popped, so up to 7 again. Not the best. Again, losing another command center. I'm getting this base established. Obviously, my mineral intake's going to suck, but I'm still really close to both the Vespene geysers, which is the important part of this. And these PFs can clear out these rocks for me on their own, so I can eventually throw another command center in there if I actually want to move my minerals properly. So this containment can become an issue if he prevents you from expanding. It's really a problem. Looks like he's going to charge some ramp. Ooh, wow. That's why you want the sensor tower to let you know when that's going to happen. At this point in the game, I actually have an extra PF to help. But if you were able to get a bio army inside my base, there's basically nothing I can do. Auto turrets cannot kill a bio army. And Seeker Missile, once he's in my base, is so easy to run away and dodge. So what you want is your Ravens, use the sensor tower to make sure your Ravens are in position, and then when he charges the ramp, throw Seeker Missiles on the bio. Which means they'll probably go off on the bio while they're either charging into your base or while they're still on the ramp. Either way, that's when they're clumped up. Bunker is higher threat priority than these other structures. I suggest keeping a bunker is not part of the wall. So if you imagine like a bio army, say the PF's not there and the bio army is right here, the stuff in the back will always shoot at these structures because that's what it can see, and the stuff in the front, anything can see this bunker will shoot at the bunker. So it really splits up the fire. Where if your bunker is right here and his army is right here, everything would shoot at the bunker and it'd dig a hole into your base a lot faster. You may even want to like fill this area with even more depots like that, and maybe even like that. Like I don't know, if he gets like a siege tank here or something, you're just making a lot of structures for him to kill. But it does solidify you more against this bio bust. Maybe adding all those extra depots if he's just Marine Marauder Medevac, if he's not one of those players that involves siege tanks. And a lot of players, I'm not sure if it's a response to Ravens or whether it's a strategy a lot of players use, but a lot of players I find just do use a lot of Marine Marauder Medevac without siege tanks. But I digress. Again, always building command centers. Otherwise, you end up with this big float here. Again, the factory and the barracks, I should probably keep this up earlier, but they can make little hit squads and Marines and Hellions. If you went one armory, which is okay, then you can build even build Hellbats. One armory and getting like ship plating is decent, because ship plating actually does help a lot against Marines. Not that useful in TvZ, my Master Raven build there, but against Marines it's actually quite helpful. PDD, yep. PDD is nice for some Marauders. If he tries to snipe this really quickly, the PDD like buys time, shuts down the Marauders long enough for your Seekers to hit their target, which will hopefully shut down his DPS enough. One lone tank was undefended, but survived for a long time. Again, desperately trying to expand wherever I can, so I'm actually expanding this way. This PF finished, but I haven't been able to transfer any workers there, and he's going to spot it. Oh, he sent that guy back before he checked. Oh no, now he knows about it. So yeah, this containment's not working so well anymore. Only on 4 base himself, even though he started with like 4 orbitals at the beginning of the game. He does have a lot of orbitals though. He's got another command center there. I think he doesn't have that orbital. I found a time to actually counterattack there. Queuing up my new Ravens over here. You don't have to keep your... In fact, it's better not to keep your Ravens in one giant blob. In TvZ, it's good to do that because Ravens protect your Ravens. The more Ravens you have, the safer you are against everything. Except for fungal, obviously. But if you cut out in the field with a big mass of Ravens, you can often throw down enough PDDs and auto turrets and Seeker Missiles to stay alive. But PDD doesn't do anything versus Marines, and yeah, I don't like having those giant blobs, so it's actually good to keep them split up. So if we pause here and we look at the mini map, say keeping Ravens here and Ravens here might be a good idea. Like the two like furthest poles of your base, and maybe some Ravens here. This base I thought was kind of throwaway because he found it when I had no SCVs, so I don't think I ever tried to hold it. So I actually keep my Ravens to this base and just decide to let him take that eventually. Looks like he's sending an army from the north. He's going to hit it from all sides at once, which actually works quite well versus planetaries. Not only does it get a lot of DPS on the planetary fast, but also spreads out all your units, so the splashdown to the PF's not a big deal. So here we go, spreading out, and big stim. like I said, I thought that PF actually would have died a long time ago, so I didn't really care about it. There's my little hit squad just running across the field. Hellions are faster than Marines, so I make the Hellions follow the Marines. That's why I don't even have to look at this thing that much. Thought I knew where his army was, I was wrong. Thought it was safe to run that way. Obviously not, so I lost that clump of ravens. But I got a backup clump. Establishing this base. The nice thing is now, if I never lose this base, I have more than half the map. So I'm really throwing up a lot of missile turrets. Oh, that little hit squad's out a battle cruiser too, which is really nice. Now I know he's Sky Terran, so I can spend a lot of my mineral bank on just tons of missile turrets. Missile turrets are so good versus Sky Terran. Auto turret says emergency anti-air because I don't have my missile turrets up here really yet. Put a bunch of Seekers on his Thorn Battle Cruiser, and then just throw out a ton of auto turrets. That'll help finish off those units. Then auto turrets are great versus Vikings, obviously, which you can't shoot down. Vikings also aren't really high armor, so auto turrets work decently versus that. And now this game is basically over. I've established my half of the map, plus his side, which means I don't even have to attack. I just have to sit here and not die. Because eventually this will come down to, you know, him having his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bases, and me having 8 bases. And 8 bases fully mined out will never lose to 6 bases fully mined out unless you do some tragic decision making. So again, tons of missile turrets. Having some forward turrets, like say like here and here and here, like here, like kind of forward turrets, are good at spotting ghosts. So if he tries to, like, say, nuke, like, here, or, like, where the heart of my stuff is, he's going to be standing in the missile turrets. So it kind of keeps his ghosts further back. Also keeping, like, at least one Raven at each of my forward bases is a good idea, because one Seeker missile kills a ghost. So if he tries to, you know, it probably takes, like, 15 seconds for a nuke to land, and it takes 5 seconds for a Seeker missile to land, so casting the Seeker missile somewhat in time, or like somewhat fast, it means the nuke will never get off. It doesn't even have to really be fast. So there's those forward turrets I was talking about. Another nice thing you can do, which I don't here, but I always forget to, but I think it's a good idea, is just keep maybe like a siege tank here and a siege tank here, and it just keeps them from like sniping these forward turrets with like a handful of Marines or something. Which can happen. Like even if he's going Sky Terran, you can make a handful of ground units just to snipe these unprotected missile turrets. I should have some forward turrets here. Building an orbital farm right now. I think he sees it and realizes how dead he is. But yeah, if I didn't have this base, if he had this base, then it's not just about defending, right? Because we have the exact same economy. So I gotta make sure I kill him better than he kills me. We can still try to make it a starvation game if I feel way ahead on the units lost tab, which I do. You can see he's lost 10k more than I have. But if you have an extra base, then you definitely win the starvation game, which means all you have to do is basically sit there and wait for him to attack, because he's the one who can't win the starvation game, so he has to do something now. Adding lots of starports is probably a good idea. I was actually in a spot like this the other time where it was half map versus half map. Half map versus half map. I was way ahead in the units lost tab. And then I thought I retreated he was Sky Terran too, and I thought I retreated far enough from his Seeker missile, so I came back to re-engage. in a big blob, and I didn't retreat far enough, so when I re-engaged, all the Seeker missiles landed, and I lost my whole Sky Terran force. And even though I had better defenses, and I was way ahead on units lost, I couldn't rebuild an army fast enough to deal with his army that was just going around killing everything. So for that reason, once you max out and have like this thing going on, or even before that, obviously, the orbital farm is one thing you should do. The other thing is get up to say like 14 starports. I think I'm just adding more now. That way you can rebuild your army a lot quicker in case a battle goes poorly, which is important to have when you have a giant bank. It's one of the few ways you can lose. Just do a quick once over of the build order. Depot on 10, Scout on 11 to make sure you get into his base because you need to see if he has gas. And then you go Barracks, Depot, Command Center. If he did not take gas, you want to go another Command Center after this. And I'd suggest putting it right in place over here. And you can even build like 4 or 5 SCVs out of it before he has to turn into a PF. It's not until he's thinking about a third base that you have to make sure that it's not until he's thinking about your third base. Only at that point do you need to have this as a PF. And obviously building SCVs is more economical than building a PF and having no SCVs coming out. But I digress. Most players are going to take go Barracks gas, and in that case you want to go 1 Rax Command Center on the high ground, and then double gas yourself, and then an engineering bay, and then factory, PF, high-sec auto tracking. I think it's the way to do it. When the engine bay is done though, you want to throw up your turret ring. You don't need it quite this early, but you have actually the minerals to spare anyway, so you might as well put it down. Double gas on low ground as soon as possible. Around the time his first Reaper would arrive is the time you want to run your Scout SCV, the one you originally scouted his gas and left his base with in here. So it was really late. I should have been running in here by 6 minutes at the latest. Because as soon as you see this command center, you want to throw down the command center yourself. And if you don't see a command center, it makes you, be thinking that he's doing one base all in, or at least a late expo sort of build. So at least puts you in the right mindset to think, okay, I just gotta get my units out. I need to defend. Just make sure the starport's going. Just make sure I'm not getting supply capped. So obviously, right after factory, you want to build starport. Swap the tech lab onto the starport, so you get the starport with the tech lab as soon as possible. If you can build a starport somewhere, or the factory and starport somewhere where it won't get caught in a typical scan, typical scans like here. So in the back here made sense. And then you want to build a Banshee and COVID reactor. There we go. And then we'll be going up to 3 starport. You want this 4 gas as soon as you can afford it. Full turret ring, bunker here. Leftover Marines patrol here. Obviously your early Marines, you want them to block the Reapers jumping in. And then you eventually get up to 3 starport, take your third before he takes his, which I kind of failed at this game. So basically take your third as soon as you see this command center go down. And then from this point forward, there's tons of command centers and tons of Ravens. You'll be able to afford lots of command centers. Also, you can keep your factory and barracks building just Marines and Hellions to assist. And that's more or less the build. PFs hold everything back, bio-wise, except for siege tanks, and siege tanks you snipe with Seeker Missile. It's good to be efficient. 2 Seeker Missiles kill a siege tank. If there's 2 siege tanks directly next to each other, like say another one right here, you can actually kill it with just 3 Seeker Missiles. So you put 1 on this and 2 on that, or vice versa, and 3 Seeker Missiles will kill 2 siege tanks if they're right up against each other. As long as you split up 2 and 1. He might have, your Raven energy is not infinite this part of the game. Just putting like 1 extra Seeker Missile in the siege tank mean you won't be able to kill the next siege tank in time. And I guess the last thing we should talk about is what do you do if you see mech, and that's kind of the part in this build that's not good. First of all, how to spot mech. So if you see an early Hellion, that doesn't mean mech, right? Because that just could mean like a Banshee or Cloak Banshee opening, which can go either towards it can go towards mech or it can go towards bio. And even seeing 2 or 3 Hellions probably doesn't mean much. Once you see more than 3 Hellions, though, it's probably means it's going to be mech. So if he's poking at you with more than 3 Hellions, it's unlikely he's going to be transitioning to something that's not mech. Also, your first Banshee that cuts across the field, you know, to check out the Marines you see. If it was a huge amount of Marines, it's bio. If the Marines you do see have either combat shield or stim, then it's bio. Yeah, so once you identify it as mech, build a fusion core immediately, cancel your Raven production, cancel your Corvid reactor if it's not already complete. Go up to 2 starports probably is best. Maybe 3. Depends how late you decide to throw it on the fusion core. If you found it late, and throw the fusion core down late, then you're probably going to be pulling up resources as these starports are going to be idle for a little while. So then maybe you want 3 starports to build 3 BCs immediately. But basically you want to transition to BCs. And you're going to do things basically the same way, except using Yamato to snipe tanks rather than Seeker Missile. And then the BCs help more versus Thors. Because Thors will be the end of you if you open Ravens. Thors do splash damage and bonus delight, so they just obliterate Ravens. Raven spells don't really do anything against Thors. The auto turrets do too low of attack against the high armor of Thors. Thors can kill planetary fortresses. Seeker Missile is obviously really bad against a high hit point Thor, because you don't really get the splash going on. The other problem with mech is Hellbats, where Marines have to stay out of range of the PF or they die. Hellbats can kind of just A-move in, because it takes 4 hits from a PF to kill Hellbats. Hellbats are big chunky units, so you don't get the good splash damage. And then obviously, if he does A-move in with his Hellbats, they can kind of get back in here and start killing off your repairing SCVs too, and then that's kind of the end of the game. So another thing you might want to do is maybe like a couple depots like that, and maybe a couple depots like this, that sort of idea. Just to make a safe zone here for your repairing SCVs. BCs will also help more in Ravens versus Hellbats. Get some shots down on them if he does decide to A-move in. It's a little bit hard to expand when you're going BCs, because BCs actually cost a little bit of minerals. Unlike Ravens, where you're just, you can constantly be building 4 command centers at a time. But transition's the same way. You start expanding, PFing. You don't need double PFs actually, versus mech. Double PF with structure armor is more a thing you want versus bio, because Stim Marine Marauder, or even just Stim Marine, once they get enough upgrades, can snipe a PF really quickly. Where versus mech is such high damage per shot that the armor doesn't really make a difference, so you can skip structure armor. It's also not as high damage output as bio, so you can just stick with 1 PF. I guess 2 PFs is a little bit better if he's going to be A-moving Hellbats, but I'd prioritize more getting single PFs at many bases than double PFs at few bases. And then you can start mixing in the Ravens a little bit later. It doesn't really matter if he goes up to a giant Viking count either. Like if he has 20 Vikings and you just have BCs, you don't have to worry about getting Vikings of your own or PDDs or whatnot, because for the first while you're just playing defensive. You're sitting behind the missile turrets you have here, and the BCs are fine when they're behind missile turrets. But that's the way I do it versus mech, and that gave me a winning ratio, a win rate that was well below 50%. So not good versus mech. Thors are a problem, and the Hellbats are definitely a problem. But I was getting better against it. But luckily, you don't have to worry about mech so much anymore because Hellbats are nerfed, and Bio is now the standard. And that's why I made this video, because this build kind of works pretty well versus Bio. My win rate is at least 50% in Masters League. I think it's actually higher than that. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's like dead around 50%. But considering it's still a build that's kind of in its infancy, like I still get these like $3,000, $4,000 mineral floats. So like something like these little hit squads from the factory and barracks I just had in recently, which is helping a little bit. Yeah, so let's build the game better. Maps like this, where the ramp is really far away from the PF, you want to make sure you double PF. In fact, you probably want to double PF on every map. Sometimes you want the second PF on the high ground. But yeah, against Stim Marine Marauder, it's nice to have two PFs. Like on Neoplanet S, for instance, where the ramp is like right here. You probably just want the PF on the high ground right beside the ramp. Although sometimes if you blow out these destructible plates, I think there's room for a PF on almost every map if you blow out the plate. It can be hard to know when to safely do that though, because these Marines have to be, they're always active. First they're like preventing Reapers from jumping in, then they're preventing drop over on this side, then they're in the bunker to prevent a stim run by. If you ever have them out in the open shooting these plates, you might be regretting it if he happens to attack at the right time. I'm getting really tangenty, so I'm going to end this video here. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is my Mass Raven build tutorial-ish versus Terran, specifically meant to work versus Bio, and I guess versus Sky Terran too, just not mech. Yeah, so thanks for tuning in, and goodbye.